Well, hello there, everyone, and welcome to Raising Indiana, a podcast devoted to the joys and pains of puppyhood. Here we'll cover everything from training to nutrition to care and psychology. And puppy dog teeth, too. Why, just the other day I found a tooth on the floor, and it got me thinking that I don't know a single thing about dental care and dogs. So rather than dressing up in tights and glitter as the tooth fairy for Indiana, I thought we would instead have tonight's guest on our show, Dr. Sharon Startup. She's a veterinary based out of Knoxville, Tennessee, where she has specialized in dentistry since 1986. That's awesome. Dr. Startup, welcome to our show. Now, I have a ton of questions, but let's start out, first of all, at what age should puppies get their first dental checkup?
Well, that's a really good question, and my overwhelming response would be as soon as possible. The teeth should be checked with the very first puppy visit, and there are a lot of good reasons for that. But as far as a formal dental visit, as long as your veterinarian's been checking the orthodontic issues and normal eruption patterns for teeth, making sure everything is doing what it's supposed to do, and everything's going normally, then as far as just like your first dental exam, formal dental exam with a cleaning, that would be anywhere from a year to 3 years of age. Well, yeah, what I'm saying is that there are abnormalities that you can pick up early in puppyhood, but if you have a pretty astute veterinarian that knows how to look for orthodontic abnormalities where baby teeth don't come out when they're supposed to, or maybe missing teeth, those kinds of things picked up on early can be a really, really good thing.
So basically, your vet should already be checking for any potential dental issues that your puppy may be having. But as the caretaker, though, how can I make sure or be sure that my veterinarian is on top of that?
Well, I think there are a few key questions that you can ask that will kind of help you know if your veterinarian is looking all the places that he or she is supposed to be looking. And I think the first thing I would do is ask them if they don't take a good long look at the mouth, ask them to do so. And ask that veterinarian to tell you what they're seeing. And ask questions like, do you think that this puppy has a normal bite? Do you think all of the teeth are erupting normally? They're coming in the right pattern. They're coming in the right timing. And all veterinarians are equipped to, if they don't know how to look for those things, they're certainly equipped to find out information, call a specialist, or look at literature to find out what that's supposed to be and learn about it. So it's not, that those orthodontics is not really rocket science. Knowing the eruption patterns are well published. So even if your veterinarian doesn't have a wealth of knowledge about dentistry or doesn't want a wealth of knowledge, I think if you ask the right questions, that veterinarian will understand, okay, this is an astute owner, this is an owner that wants to know, and will either rise to the occasion or already know that kind of stuff or not. And I think that'll be your kind of determining factor, if that makes sense. I'd probably also ask about what kind of equipment that veterinarian has. I would want to know, and that will tell you a lot about the level of dentistry that's being done. And I would ask about who does the dental exams and cleanings and treatments in that practice. And if the technician is the one that's doing it, how involved is the veterinarian in that process?
What would be like the top 3 questions you would ask to ascertain whether my vet is both knowledgeable enough and current enough to provide the proper dental care and advice for my puppy?
That's a really good question. I might have to think about that just a moment. and I may answer this and then change my mind. How about that? I think the first question that I would ask, and a lot of it depends on how old the puppy is at the point that you're asking these questions, but let's say it's your very, very first visit and it's a really young puppy, I would probably watch to see if the veterinarian looks in the mouth, takes a good, long, hard look in the mouth. And I would probably ask about dentition, like, hey, doc, does this puppy have a normal bite, and how important is that it have a normal bite? And you probably get a good idea about how this veterinarian, how important dentistry is to this veterinarian, if that makes sense. So that would probably be question number one. Question number two would be, when do I bring my puppy in for its first cleaning? And kind of see what they say. And then how often should this puppy come in for a cleaning? And what kind of home care should I be doing in the meantime? So those would be questions. That would be like sort of question number two. And then question number three might be, what is your level of interest in dentistry? How seriously do you take it? And kind of piggyback to that question, does your technician do the cleaning? And that's fine if they do. But how involved are you in the dental exam and any kind of extractions or treatments or root cleaning, periodontal treatments that need to be done? How involved is that veterinarian in that? Or is that just completely the job of the technician and the veterinarian's not even involved? Some veterinarians love dentistry and they're very involved in it. Some abhor dentistry and they want to be as far away from it as they possibly can be.
Now, Dr. Startup, we know that in humans the importance of dentistry is significant in that insufficient dental care can cause cardiac problems as well as a whole host of other problems as well. Do you feel that a lot of your job is conveying not only to your patients but other veterinarians the importance of dental care as it pertains to the overall health of dogs?
Absolutely. And I would say that a lot of my job is to help raise the level of awareness and education about dentistry. I take that as part of my mission in life, really, because it's just really huge. Your veterinarian is trying to regulate a little diabetic dog and is not aware of the periodontal disease, and what we know is that dog is never going to get regulated unless the periodontal disease is treated. And the general practitioner hasn't been made aware of this through education. Or if they are aware, they're so overwhelmed they just aren't quite sure what to do about it. And my job is I receive phone calls every day from veterinarians just asking questions, and I try to answer them and guide them through the best way for them to treat their patients. My doors are open. A veterinarian can walk in any day that I'm there treating patients and welcome to ask me questions all day long. So, yeah, it's a huge thing.
We got a little bit off script early on, and I apologize for that, but this is such an important topic and subject for us, and there's a whole host of things for us to cover. But let's backtrack a little bit and start with the basics. When do puppies lose their teeth, and why and when do they regrow them? Although I'm sure regrow is not part of the medical vernacular, but that's why we have you here to help us navigate through this whole issue of puppy dentistry.
The puppies will lose teeth at different times of their life. But what I tell people is probably the best one tooth to pay attention to, and we should pay attention to all of them, but the best one tooth to pay attention to is if you just sort of pay attention to the canine teeth at about 5 months to 5.5 months, that baby canine tooth is getting pushed out of the way and an adult tooth is coming in. And, that's sort of the age that we should have all of our adult teeth. So the importance with that is at no time should a baby tooth and an adult tooth be in the mouth. At no time should a baby tooth and its adult counterpart be in the mouth at the same time. So if you see a baby canine tooth and an adult canine tooth at the same time, in the same sort of place, then one of those, the baby tooth needs to be extracted.
Now, since Indiana was adopted from an animal shelter, I would like to know, and nobody knows exactly, just how old he is. I mean, it's not like I'm ever going to take him down to the DMV to get a driver's license, but I'd like to know. I would like to know what his birthday is. Can the age of a puppy be ascertained through dentistry?
Yeah, within reason, There's a pretty big variation in eruption times in dogs, depending on their breed, Some teeth never do erupt. Some teeth are missing. So it can be a little tricky. But, yeah, we get a rough estimate of age based on, does it have all of its adult teeth? Does it still have some baby teeth? And then do the teeth look sort of pearly white, or is there some wear? Teeth with age sort of age a little bit. But that can be highly variable depending on what the dog chews, So if you've got a dog that chews on its cage or chews on tennis balls, those teeth will get worn down a lot faster than if that's not occurring. So wear, that some veterinarians and people will use wear to estimate the age, and that can really not help you at all. It can kind of work against you when it comes to accuracy.
Now, we've only just begun to scratch the surface on puppy dentistry, but we like to try to cap off our podcast at 10 minutes or so. Tons more content based on our conversation with Dr. Startup about puppy dental care. Stay tuned for part 2 with Dr. Startup. That's it for this week's episode of Raising Indiana. I'd like to thank our most excellent producer, Sheila, or as some of you know her as, Mommy S, and our guest, Dr. Sharon Startup from Knoxville, Tennessee. We'll talk to her again very, very soon. From Hudson, Indiana, and me, keep the faith and puppy up, and folks, support your local animal shelter or rescue, and learn more about canine cancer at 2milliondogs.org.